guys, I want to talk a little bit about microstamping. I want to talk about what it is and why it's important and why it's dangerous. Now, a lot of you probably heard of the idea of microstamping. You've heard the term. You kind of have an idea of what it is supposed to be, but you're not real clear on the technology behind it or how it would be accomplished. And there's good reason for that. That's because right now the technology doesn't exist, and it won't exist for the foreseeable future. Now, one way people have kind of theorized that this could be done is by individually serial numbering every single round of ammunition sold in this country from every single manufacturer. Again, something that simply cannot be done right now. It's impossible. Now, the way some people have looked at this idea of microstamping, this sort of mythical technology, specifically the way California and their legislature have looked upon this, is basically that the firearm itself has to have the ability to stamp an individual, unique identifying mark on every single round of ammunition fired through it. Now, think about that for a minute. Whether a round is chambered or fired, it would have to be stamped with something through the sheer power of the gun itself. So let's say they tried to put this technology into place, and they used the firing pin as a means to stamp the primer or the casing of the round when it's fired so that it could uniquely be identified and tracked back to that gun. That would mean that the firing pin in that gun would have to be absolutely 100% unique, completely different from all the firing pins that came before it and all the firing pins that would come after it. Not only that, but it would have to be different from every other firing pin from every other gun manufacturer out there. Think about the millions and millions and millions of different types of firing pins that would have to be in existence for the millions and millions of guns that are sold in this country. Again, it's mythical technology that doesn't exist and won't exist for the foreseeable future. Why is this dangerous? Well, look to California. California just recently passed a microstamping law that basically says any firearms that are introduced to California to be sold within the state will not be allowed to be sold within the state unless they utilize microstamping technology, a technology that doesn't exist and won't exist. Basically, this is a ban on firearms. Now, if you're buying something that's already on the list, something that's already been submitted from before this law, yes, you can still buy that gun. But this is just another way to slowly dry up the surplus of firearms out there. Think about it. If Ruger or Smith & Wesson or SIG or anybody else changes something as simple as a magazine or a safety lever on one of their guns, that gun then has to be resubmitted. That design has to be resubmitted to California to be approved to be sold within the state, even if the rest of the gun is 100% the same as it was before. But yet this time it will be denied because it does not use microstamping technology. This, again, is a ban on firearms. This is directly contrary to our Second Amendment rights. This is why it's important to know about this stuff, and this is why it's dangerous. You see, a lot of other states tend to follow the lines of California and New York. I mean, look at Colorado and what happened with them. This is why we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to prevent this from happening, not only in our own states, but we need to help other states to turn these laws around, to get them repealed and get them taken care of. It's time to make the phone calls, it's time to send the emails, it's time to start the petitions, it's time to let your voice be heard. We must stop this idea of this mythical microstamping technology before it gains traction. We need to stop it now because this very much could be a ban on firearms.